It's the finale. Welcome to Endgame of my 0% LTC of Justice and Pride. We're yet again going to start by giving stat boosters for a strategy that didn't even work. So it's going to seem like Luigi got stat boosters for no reason, but that's okay. Today's chapters are very simple. To be honest, they're quite disappointing for in-game strategies. But, I mean, at this point, what do you expect? In-game 1 is usually a lot more complicated of a map. The idea is that you defeat several bosses and seize thrones in order to unlock pathways that eventually get you to the boss. But obviously that takes way too long. So instead, we're going to be just warping on over to where the boss is and killing her with Luna on Hornet. Obviously, with the boss having 80 HP, we're going to need more than just the 30 magic cap in order to kill her in a single turn. In fact, even with that, several in-game bosses are going to take more than just 2 Luna hits to kill. But that's when we were going to yet again exploit how turn order works for enemies in order to still safely defeat them. We start off by getting rid of these guys in our way, as we have to deal with some more moment of what looks like it could be a 1-turn ending up being a 2-turn. We actually could save a warp staff heal if Luigi was strong enough, but sadly, because of how poorly I optimized Carmen's staff rank, it wouldn't actually help us in any of the previous chapters. And all of the rest of the chapters after this are going to be 1-turn anyway. Here we get to see just how strong Exordium really is, even against non-monsters, as it easily takes care of this promoted enemy in the first in-game. All due to just how the relics are. After trading them back around, we're going to make use of Luigi's Power Staff very carefully so that we can warp over to the boss in a single turn. First, by warping Luigi with Hermit, then dancing for the Hermit so that he can move again, then using both of Luigi's actions through Power Staff to rescue the Hermit before warping him over to the boss. With all the relics stacked on the Hermit, he's able to get to a very nice 41 attack with the Lunatome, or 42 actually, and easily 1-round KO the boss. And I should warn about the tome animation again, because it's not fun to watch. Look away if you're prone to seizures. And either way, that's in-game 1 completed in a single turn. But as anyone who's played J&P knows, there's still 2 maps left. So we move on to in-game 2. In-game 2 is also a really straightforward map. And is yet again a warp. And along with that, we see Adorn getting the final couple kills she needs in order to get to level 10, just in time for Endgame 3. The main reason we need Rally Move for Endgame 3 is that since we're out of warp uses, almost, well, Ravel will be out of warp uses once we get to Endgame 2, past the very beginning of Endgame 3, we need a way to get our dancer to dance for the Hornet so he can attack the boss, since the boss of Endgame 3 attacks, or has 2 phases. Anyway, to wrap up Endgame 2, in one turn, we attack the boss and lower his HP to very critical amounts. And due to that AI feature that I've mentioned previously, where lower HP enemies tend to move first, we can get the boss to immediately attack Hermit and reliably end up defeating him on the immediate EP. And that's Endgame 2 in one turn, yet again. And we move on to Endgame 3. There was not much to talk about for Endgame 3, other than that we bring a lot of units so that we can take care of the enemies that start near us, as we need them not around, or else they'll try to kill us on enemy phase. As just like with Endgame 2, we have to stick around to the enemy phase so that the boss will attack and suicide on the Hornet. The boss of this chapter has 2 stages that I'll go ahead and cover. The first phase is just like in Game 1, where she gets one-rounded by the Hornet with the Lunatone. The second phase, however, she turns into basically just a more powerful Necro Dragon, and while that's not super dangerous, it does have, I believe, around 120 health, which is quite a bit more than before, and it isn't low enough so that Hermit can easily defeat her. She also moves slightly, which means we can't just keep Hermit in the same space. Also, sadly, due to her high luck, and I think her skills too, trying to crit with Simon and a Dragon Scale again wouldn't be very effective. Either way, after her first form goes down, it's important that I should note that we have attacked her at 2 range. This is because we need our Dancer, with her move boost by 1 thanks to Rally Move, to dance for the Hornet, who is just in her range, so that he can then move over to the dragon and attack. He actually doesn't even need to dodge any of these hits, I believe, as while yes, she is scary and has a good chance to hit him, we can easily physic him up, even if he gets lowered to 1 HP due to her Bane skill, and just easily get around how dangerous she is. And just to be safe, because I wasn't sure at the time how the enemy order would go, I put this Phantom out there just so that Ricto stays safe from the 2 dragons that are nearby. Either way, Cylia attacks, but Harmit yet again uses Luna to take her down. And with that, we have beaten Endgame in 1 turn. It's been a long ride, and I don't honestly have a lot to say. This has been quite an interesting adventure. I started this quite casually, and as things have gone on, it's been interesting to see how um, just a lot of people seem to enjoy it, or at least more than I thought. I say a lot. But either way, as our turns scroll by, we can see that we get a very clean turn count of, well, actually, I don't remember off the top of my head. It's 130, oh, no, 123, sorry. But either way, as the endings scroll by, I have a set of questions here that you all sent in. We're going to start with Hans, who asked a lot of questions. We have, what's my favorite color? Orange. What's my favorite food? For favorite food, it's probably a toss-up between either pizza or cake. Oh, actually, donuts are pretty good too. One of those. Like, actual meal, though? That'd be a hard one. I definitely like chicken quite a bit. Any kind of meat is just pretty good. He also asked, why in the word Justice and Pride? I did a normal playthrough a while ago, and then I did a normal 0% playthrough a while ago, and I found that playthrough pretty fun. And throughout it, I was wondering, this would actually probably be fun to LTC. And what do you know? It was. The next question is from Hans again, with what would I want to LTC next, as well as what things could I improve. For what I could improve, I think there's quite a few things. For one, I think there's several strategies that could probably be made more reliable. In addition, Chapter 21, as I mentioned previously, could have been done in 6 turns, and it was just by laziness that I didn't make it a 6 turn, because I didn't want to replay that map again. Because I would have had to, because I didn't really have a good point for Richter to use the speed wing that he would need to make it a 6 turn. And either way, the 6 turn strat is also slightly less reliable. So, in some ways, it's maybe for the best. However, I definitely think Carmen's staff rank, as well as rally move, are 2 things that I really messed up on, and definitely could have made several things a lot better, and probably saved some turns at some points that maybe I can't think of currently. As for what to LTC next, whatever I do next, project-wise, I think it's going to be definitely like a couple months. I've definitely taken interest in Sun God's Wrath. I've always been a fan of that hack before it came out. No matter what, I want to wait for it to settle, per se, and get to a point where it's consistent. And of course, I want to first actually 0% it at some point, so that I can see if I think it would be fun to try and LTC it as a 0%. But as you know, as anyone with this channel may know by looking at its videos, Um, I have a variety of content at times, so it might not even be an LTC that's next. For all I know, I may upload a stupid um, low-level video again, or a discussion video. Who knows? I upload what I want when I want, so who knows? Um, Moving on from Hans's. Oh well, Hans has one final question. That's pretty easy to explain, and he asked why I couldn't just use warp to get warp in 25x, and that's because 25x is actually technically a like survive/defend map that no matter what is 8 turns, so it would not be worth it to get the warp staff and stat boosters you can get in that map. Next we have Gotliko Teplik. I don't know if I pronounced that right. And his whole question is, which units contributed more than I expected? I would say Tabitha and Theodora. Tabitha is usually a pretty okay unit, but as a ranger who gets 3 range, she actually came in use quite a bit, especially near the end game where mages are just dangerous and you don't want to take damage on retaliation. So being able to attack from 3 range was pretty good. And her bases, while promoted, we'll just use for in general. And hey, as for Theodora, I knew she would be useful no matter what in the end game, due to her really good bases. However, I didn't expect her to be so good that she would end up being able to one round kill one of the bosses, Perseus, who I would consider probably the toughest boss in the game, even more so than a lot of the in-game bosses. Partially due to the fact that you don't have the Fire Emblem or Ultra Relic at that point. The next question is from Morris, or Knight Morris, I guess, and he asks about Trails of Cold Steel. That's a joke question. That's a bit of an inside joke. I don't have to answer that one, so we're going to move on. Mr. Green, hey, the creator of the hack himself, asked what is my favorite kind of cheese? And that would be American cheese. I know that's a very generic kind of cheese to like, but it's what I like, so. And our final question is from Psych. Which chapters were fun or frustrating to plan? I would say the fun chapters would be chapters 4, 24, and Endgame 3. I should have probably wrote down a little bit more about each of these, so I could remind myself about 4 and 24, since those were a bit ago. 4 was fun because 4 is that town map where you get Derek and Roderick, as well as Nathaniel. And the fun part of that map was just trying to get Adorn to quickly move along to each new unit she had to recruit, which was interesting, as well as working with Donovan to get to the boss to kill him in time. As for Chapter 24, that's the one where I used Rescue twice, as well as got the Hamoran Staff. It's hard to describe what I found fun about that one. I just thought it was fun to plan out. Maybe it was just the fact that I was through some of the more boring maps that were in the endgame. Who knows? As for and finally, in-game 3 is fun to plan out, just because the boss has a lot of HP, and it's interesting to plan around how you're going to get it all down in one turn. Which is probably the most fun part with any boss, really, in an LTC strategy. And finally, the frustrating maps or chapter 20 and 20, which should be no shock. And hey, what do you know? Timed well with the fin. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time for whatever the heck I'm doing.